As someone who hasn't really enjoyed playing video games these past few years, for various reasons, I find it very difficult to complete or even start up the hundreds and hundreds of games sitting dormant in my Steam library. I usually end up just watching a film with my wife instead, just to escape the overwhelming feeling of analysis paralysis. The constant need for min-maxing my time I experience now as an adult, I just didn't feel when I was a kid playing Psycho-kun on my PS2. I wasn't worried about my playstyle or the fear of missing out. I would just launch a game, play it, and enjoy it for what it was. So, how can this be helped? Well, to be truthful with you, I have no idea. But I did actually manage to finish one game recently, and that was Metalgarden. It just appeared on the front page of the Steam store as if magically recommended to me, its bleak and colorless world immediately standing out, and I was intrigued right away. The overwhelmingly positive reviews of others, combined with its low price, made me think, well, why not? I have some time today, let's give it a go. And so I did, and I gotta say, I was blown away by it. From the initial moments you enter this desolate world, it feels both oppressive and comforting. It's kinda hard to explain. It makes me feel like I'm on an alien planet, but at the same time it makes me feel like I'm home. It's cozy, but with a good amount of dread. You could almost say liminal. Don't get me wrong, this isn't a horror game, but the world the game takes place in is so atmospheric, it consistently remains tense as you explore your surroundings. In front of us we see the wreckage of our old mech, in which we were presumably crash-landed here while traveling through the structure. It's beyond repair. So we grab our gun and our thrust boots and head out on foot. The thrust boots basically serve as a double jump and will allow you to traverse some pretty crazy parkour sections later on. Leaving the area we start in, we come across our first enemies. Enjoyers of tricorn hats will feel particularly at home here. I should also point out that this game was made by a single developer from Croatia, which is all the more incredible when you see how polished this game is. Take the gunplay for example, it's very tightly designed. Nothing revolutionary, but what it does so perfectly. We come across a small camp with a few scattered corpses lying around, and on the far end we find a survivor. I divine cybermancy, anyone?
LeBron James.
He mentions that they were betrayed and that they had found a way out. He also reveals he's a king of a place he calls Ria Secretorum. He says he had spies placed near where local industrialists were building a great dam, and apparently they had hit a hole in the world. As the king becomes more incomprehensible and slowly bleeds out, we take the key from his body and use it on the barricade on the other side of the camp. After fighting some more guys on a highway and under a bridge, we end up in some sort of underground bunker, where we meet King from Attikon. I mean, one of the soldiers that presumably betrayed the Divine King, and is now chilling out here with his big ass sword. Now, we come to our first platforming section and I really like these. The movement is well done and fluid enough that it doesn't feel like a massive pain to accurately jump from platform to platform. You then get to fight more cheetah men, and as someone who's very easily scared and tends to avoid horror games, even these guys freak me out.
Oh my god, bro. Hell no. What the fuck?
We make it outside and see clearing the bunker rewards us with a sniper rifle. This will come in very useful. I mosey along and come across this little guy, who, when you approach him later on, he jumps into the ocean and heads off. Goodbye, little guy. Take care of yourself in this unforgiving world. After finding a couple more goons, like this guy, we enter this enormous dome, where highways crisscross like a web above us. As I'm walking up one of the ramps, I notice a leaf-covered hole off to the side. I look down and tension builds. Is it a trap? For a moment I make up my mind and decide to take the plunge. It's okay, we're beneath the dome, and in a place that looks straight out of Dark Souls. I start a long-range gunfight with a number of the cheetah men jumping up onto the overlook, and one of them almost chops me in half. I take them out, and then I take some screenshots, cause man, this game is a vibe, and I make my way to the top of the Colosseum, where I find a hatch that leads back into the dome. After a big shootout in the highway dome, and this is such a sick location by the way, we climb to the top and leave through the broken roof, into what feels like a part of a Battlefield 1942 map. I should also mention this game has a limb damage system similar to that of Fallout, where you can triage specific limbs, and in essence, this is a really neat idea. But the game isn't difficult enough that it ever became a problem, which is good I suppose, it doesn't really get in the way. Now, how do we get across this ravine? Well, it seems going against your instinct and just yeeting yourself from cog to cog works just fine. Next up is this small cramped arena section I really like. You fight a couple of waves of cheetah men on these tiny platforms, and you have barely enough time to get away before they hit you. It's tense and only allows you 1 or 2 shots before you have to jump away again. It's just great, especially because the game really understands its pacing. Next is a huge room where you do this fun bridge puzzle, so you can reach an office to get a smoking area key so you can escape. Then there are these mines. God damn these mines, and I got hit by them every single time, because my dumb fish brain sees them and just walks right into them. I love this area too, with the big freaking windmills that remind me of my home country. I love these cow things too, by the way. Look how cute they are. And this may be a good time to say as well, this Shadow of the Colossus color palette really works in the game's favor. Ironically, the game being so washed out and dreary makes it far more beautiful. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of bright, vibrant colors, but it's so overdone these days because everyone still seems to want to compensate for the 2006 to 2011 period of sepia, brown, and gray. I like that metalgarden isn't afraid to tone it back a bit and let the world stand on its own. I then come across this thin hallway I meant to squeeze past and immediately stop before running in, realizing that there's definitely something going down once I walk through here. I book it in, and yes sir, I get sandwiched between a couple of cheetah men. And that's not a sentence I thought I would be saying today. We find an abandoned camp and a cryptic letter referencing back to the industrialists and the involvement of Rea Secretorum. A little while later, we finally approach the entrance to the dam and whatever lies beyond. With a destroyed bridge and a sealed gate, there's some work to do before we can head inside. Okay, now that's done, we can finally enter the gateway. And this is where I stop showing you what happens next. Now, this may seem like a massive cop-out, and I totally understand if you rather watch a different video that just explains the ending too, but to me, and the reason it took me a week to write this rather short script, it's not right for me to just straight up show you something that made me feel so deeply. Showing off a game like this gives me some kind of responsibility to respect and in some ways protect the game's intentions and impact, and not squander it by just revealing it to you. What I'd rather you experience for yourself. Me just showing you what lies beyond the Great Dam would take away from the mystery and the sense of salvation that is evoked by the feeling of escape right on your fingertips. You can practically taste it, but it's still just out of reach. That curiosity is what drives you forward in metalgarden, and I want to show that just because it's conventional for me to show you what happens next, I don't have to, and there's a sense of freedom in that, a sense of freedom I greatly miss in my daily life. And there's also something else. Look, as some of you may know and many of you won't, and I don't blame you, everyone's got their own shit to deal with, the last few years have not been very kind to my mental health, and I've been struggling a lot. Ever since moving to Australia and spending most of the last 9 years here, without my friends or family, it's been tough. It's been very, very tough. But it's actually only the last few years that have posed the real challenge. With my family members getting sick, my parents getting older, and the inevitability of life events such as marriage and having children getting closer and closer and closer. It's like my brain is going into some sort of stress-induced shutdown. A few days ago, my wife and I celebrated our 10-year anniversary together, which is amazing and I wouldn't want it any other way. She's my rock, she's my whole life and my whole world. She's the only reason I haven't given up. And it's because of her. I just have absolutely no idea what to do with myself anymore. You're thinking, what the hell does this have to do with the game? Well, believe it or not, everything. This game somehow made me feel like that's me, stuck in a sickly, faded world with the infinite grey of the ceiling stretching out for dozens of miles into the horizon. The solid concrete walls of the overgrown megastructure, like a prison of one's mind, or even Plato's allegory of the cave. It made me feel like I was reading Kafka's Metamorphosis again. looking profoundly inward as I tried to restore a sense of self. As we follow our protagonist through the story, I personally felt like I was the one making the progress. Not in the game, but in reality. Throwing off the shackles I'd put on by my own doing, and leaving this hermetically sealed box I've put myself in. What I'm saying here, the point I'm laboriously trying to hammer home, is that if you're depressed or going through a tough time mentally, give this game a try. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Treat it like therapy for your mind, to be able to feel free again, to allow yourself to enjoy things. To end the video, I want to thank Tenera Soft for creating such a beautiful world for us to explore, and I hope they will continue to give us many more in the future, as well as holding up a mirror so that I could see what a fool I've been. I will also endeavor to divert from this play-by-play fashion of writing, and be more cohesive and intelligent in how I structure these videos. Unless that's something you guys enjoy, I just don't know how much it will resonate. Not everyone can be white light, but I can sure as hell try. In any case, if you're still here and enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you and have a good night.